My mind is all over the place. It's crazy, man. Holy crap. My mind is so full of it today because I wrote so much stuff today that I thought I was doing a whole different lesson plan than what I'm doing. That's where my mind is, man. Or where my mind isn't. It's so crazy. Cause it's just like, man, does this thing like got some kind of filter on? Nope. Filters. Original. Yeah, take that bullshit off. Got me looking all fake. Yeah, there we go. Now I look real, like a real person. Take all that filter shit off. And my mind is working so fast today that I was on the right one. I've just done so many things and written so much today that it all just blurred together. But this is like, there's a cost whenever we borrow pain. You know, these narratives that were handed to us, you know, about what death is. The reason why we think about death in the way that we do is because we were told what to think about it. You know, and I think that's a large reason why so many people struggle with it and the way that it was presented and the way that was handed down, the way that grieving is handed down to people. And so it starts to shape and mold people's perceptions and ideas of what this thing is until you start having experiences and then you experience it yourself. And everybody says, you know, that everybody experiences grief differently. But yet, the expectation for it is supposed to be, you know, this kind of one way of thinking, depending on what culture you're coming from, instead of developing your own narratives and your own ideas of what, you know, this thing that we call death is and the pain that is associated with it. The narratives behind a lot of hand-me-down traumas are the reason they exist. So death is looked like it's looked at as a trauma. So death and grieving has been handed down to everybody in this particular way, depending on how they were raised, depending on how you were raised. That's how it's all going to matter. What that looks like. You know, it's kind of, they tell you kind of what you're going to feel. This is that. They have stages of grief and all this stuff, right? It's all spelled out for us. But there's got to be a point in time where you have these experiences and you got to develop your own path, your own way to be able to deal with these things. And this is kind of a series of literally real lifetime, you know, experience of what I'm dealing with in real time. Because like somebody that's real close to me, over 20 years, like a father, like a mentor, like a, you know, friend, you know, is not going to be here with us too much longer. He's 80 years old and battling liver cancer, and the cancer's starting to take over. So the prognosis isn't good. You know, so there's going to be like a little series I'm doing on this whole thing of grief and how I'm going to be able to handle these things as they kind of unfold in my own life. What's up, Maurice? Of having to deal with grief in many different ways. Cause like, you know, you go through all this trauma growing up and you don't experience death, and then death comes along. And it's just like when death came along knocking at my door, it was my mom, my grandma, my mom, my dad, my grandma, my uncle, all within a year and a half after never experiencing death. And it was just like boom, 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 boom. Rapid fire. And what everybody says is death is, and like I said, they got different stages of grief. Like I'm telling you, bro, you guys haven't even heard half my story. It's so fucked up. I'm telling you, man, it is so fucked up. And it's not to like draw attention to it. It's just like I've dealt with large portions of it. So like I just kind of bring that experience to the table. And then now this is just another stage where like my mentor, like the spiritual father that kind of helped me get to where I am and helped me get, you know, align my thinking, and like my friend Is like he turned 80. He just turned 80, you know, and he's been battling cancer for a long time, and it's like the liver's about out of here. And so it's not looking too good. And so like the weight of that shit is starting to really, you know, hit me. And as it does, like there's like, I'm talking about like the borrowed pain right now of like how death is presented to us and what we're told to feel about it and all these things. And my point is like there's narratives behind these traumas. And there's a reason that people think the way that they do about traumas, largely due to a lot of stuff that's been told to them instead of kind of going off of what their experience is teaching them. And so I stopped taking tragedy and making it personal. It's not a unique experience. You know, whether it's death, whether it's abuse, whether it's all these things that unfold in our life, we tend to make all this stuff so personal, like we are the only one that is going to experience tragedy or trauma. And we hold on to that. And then we don't place ourselves around people that have experienced it, gone through it, figured the way out of it. Instead, we'll just entertain it. Stop taking tragedy and making it personal. It's not a unique experience. People treat death as if it's never going to happen. Then they have the audacity to act all surprised and shit. Like it's not inevitable that people are going to die. You know, I'm not talking about the stuff, even I know there's different stages and levels to this. But if this was the kind of mindset of like, this is, you know, the inevitable thing, like this is going to happen. And you start to prepare that thing instead of, you know, not dealing with it and acting like it doesn't exist until it pops off. And then you're just more equipped to deal with it. People treat death as if it's never going to happen, and they have the audacity to act confused. Taking inevitable life happenings to extreme levels is unnecessary. When you create your own narratives around the trauma and what it means, then you take your power back. Then you don't have to spend all this time and energy and focus, you know, in the wrong direction. And I'm not saying don't grieve. And I'm going to get to that in the next couple lives, because this is going to be like a series on how to deal with trauma, grief, and shit. Not like for you, but this is my own experience that I'm just writing out in real fucking time. Because I'm always on here teaching, you know, life experience. And there's no better way to teach life experience than to fucking be it. And take people with you in real time. You know, and then they can get what they get from it. They can take and leave and do whatever with it. When you create your own narrative around the trauma, though, you get to write the script. You don't have to go through the 5 steps of grieving. You can create your whole entire playbook when you're in control of your own life and your own narrative, because you can get so caught up into this whole thing that it's literally leading you down a path that you may not even have to go down. You know what I mean? You inherited a story before you inherited the wound. The story is what kept it alive. Someone else's interpretation became your identity. That's not healing, that's inheritance. And so I can just take what life is teaching me and experience the grief in my own way. And they say everybody experiences grief is different, right? But like I said, the expectation of it for every culture is like supposed to be this one way, instead of you just literally living out of your experience and what it's teaching you. Because there's like, I grieved my pet more than I grieved my own mother. You know what I'm saying? That story is not for everybody. Everybody can't comprehend that. And it's not to say that I didn't love my mom. She was my mom. But like, it was a different thing. I had my dog for almost 20 years. You know, it was around my kids. That's all they ever knew. And so when his little ass passed away, man, that shit hit hard, bro. And I didn't even grieve as much as I did. Like I grieved more for the dog than I did my own mom. And people can't wrap their head around that shit. How could you say that? Like, some people can say that shit. And I love my mom. But like, she fucking dropped the ball in a lot of areas that caused me a lot of fucking pain. And it's not, you know, I'm not harboring this hurt, like this revengeful or any hurt. Like, I understand it. I did the work. I understand the math. The shit that she came from and all that. But what is what was, you know, like the shit that went down in my life happened. And all I could do was build from that and make sure that it didn't happen to my kids and shit. And we did a real good job doing all that. The pain isn't proof of the narrative. The narrative is proof you never questioned it. You have to be able to question any kind of borrowed pain that people are kind of, you know, the traditional pain people just kind of inflict on people and say, this is what you're going to do. This is what you're going to feel. You don't know my experience. Don't tell me how to grieve my mom. Don't tell me how to grieve this person or that, or how to overcome sexual abuse or any of that shit. Like, that's my experience to figure out. But everybody's got a script and a narrative for everybody, you know, because everybody's trying to force their experience on other people as if like that's just the thing. And while busy people are doing that, they're not tending to their own experience. They're not tending to their own narratives that could be being created, because a lot of this stuff is borrowed and we don't have to hold on to it. Stop taking tragedy and making it personal. It's not a unique experience. Every loss feels like the first time that it's ever happened to anyone, but it isn't. If you just look around, it's not. If shit happens, people are going to die. Dogs are going to die. People are going to go suddenly. Like, this isn't new. Like, it's not breaking news. We shouldn't be blindsided by death anymore. The way that people are just like, it's because people ignore it. They ignore their feelings. They ignore their emotions. They ignore dealing with true things. Depending on the environment we were raised. I was raised in an environment where you don't cry, suck it up, men. You know, got to take care of business. We don't cry. Just, oh, man. And so it's like when you have emotions and feelings, you just, whoa, we're not supposed to feel that. We're not supposed to deal with that shit. Oh, there's that thing again. And then like the older you get, that shit doesn't work. And then like you're either going to have a nervous breakdown or you're going to have to really contend with yourself in all those areas that you didn't before, because it doesn't go away. You don't go away. So you got to stop taking all these experiences and making them so unique to yourself, because everybody is experiencing this shit on different forms. I say this all the time, man. The rich, you know, the $1 million homes, they're experiencing the same shit. They're still going to have to experience burying their mom and their dad and their whatever fuckery they endured on the way up or whatever they inherited. It doesn't matter. They still have to deal with this shit. They still going to have diarrhea. They're still going to get the flu. They're still going to have to be fucking like everybody else. This stuff doesn't escape anybody. Making it personal is how you justify staying stuck in it. You're not special for hurting. You're human. You're just human for hurting. That's all. But we will make that shit so special and unique to ourselves because we don't know how to express our emotions. Well, I'll just say me. I didn't know, and I'm still learning how to express my emotions at 47 years old. Because you stuff it down, and like I've been saying, you got to unravel this shit. You got to get through the layers so you can get to the true essence of who you are. And with every death, every tragedy, every trauma, how I deal with it is going to be dependent on how I dealt with it last time and how I build off of that. And take away what I should take away from it and build off of what I should build from. And I'm going to get into the next live where it talks about you inherited. Like every contact that you make, people inherited pieces of you. Good, bad, or ugly. So even when this thing fails and gets up out of here, you are infused with lessons that people taught you. Their essence, you can hear their voice. Like they're not, it's the way all this shit is framed up, man, for us. But they're imparted. You are imparted. It's energy. You are imparted in all sorts. They live on through all various mechanisms through consciousness. The way consciousness rolls. And it can roll through fucking TikTok, YouTube, these videos people have, camcorder videos, pictures, like their essence is still around. You can still hear people's voices vividly in your head. All you got to do is just concentrate. You can hear what they sound like. You can fucking almost produce a smell. You know what I mean? Like the essence is left behind, but that's a different fucking live. That's the next one. And the last one is going to be about crying and being able to get that shit out and allow it. Because like one of the first times in my life where I actually gave myself permission to cry, you know, where it was just like, why are you going to try to hold this shit back? You've known this man for 20 years. He's instrumental in getting you to where you are. So why do we always just shrink from that? Instead of just, it is what it is. Like, it's a special thing when you realize it. You know, the essences that people leave behind and all these different mechanisms, some we have to work to get rid of, you know, to kind of banish out. But if we look at this stuff as borrowed pain, and it's just not something we're supposed to feel, and we're not supposed to go through these things, and we're just supposed to be these fucking whatever borrowed bullshit somebody else says that doesn't match what your experience is showing and teaching you. People treat death as if it's never going to happen, then have the audacity to act confused. You build a life on a foundation you refuse to acknowledge will end. But that's how the stage is set to us. We're not really taught to deal with it. We're not taught to how to feel, deal with these emotions and stuff like that. And then it's just, we're kind of left up to our own experience. And when you're trying to experience that experience, other people are trying to tell you how to do it. And all I'm saying is, like, don't act like this shit is not going to happen. You can prepare for it in various ways. You can prepare for even the stuff that can happen quick. There's just realities that a lot of us face that some people don't. Like, our daughter has Down syndrome. She's got heart issues and shit. She's had like heart repair, a wall in her heart. She's about to turn 20 years old. The statistics of just the, you know, are not in our favor of us outliving or her outliving us or any of that. Like, there are things that we're going to have to fucking go through knowingly, more than likely, whether it's me and my wife, or whether it's me, if I'm still here, or her, or the kids. Like, it's there. That's a reality some people don't have to deal with. And so it's just like, when you treat this shit like it's just a surprise, and you didn't prepare yourself in any kind of way, like this stuff isn't inevitable, then you're going to be in trouble. You're going to be in a lot. And this is how people don't change rooms. And they, after somebody passes, like, everything just stays the same and nothing changes. And their whole life was this, because they act like this shit don't happen. And it does, and it will. The confusion isn't grief. It's denial finally meeting reality. Shock is just delayed acceptance of something you already knew. And that's the same thing. Like, my mentor, spiritual father, friend, over 20 years, bro, solid as a fucking rock. Know him, know me. Like, that's how deep that shit is. And so to treat it as if, like, knowing that he's had cancer for over 40 years, and it comes and it goes and it comes and it goes, but now you're up there in age and you're 80 years old, and like, you've done the experimental shit, you're doing all the stuff, right? It's not like you don't see the signs. So you got to be able to prepare yourself in certain ways. And it can't be based off of a lot of the stuff that, like, you know, that some of us were taught, like, don't cry. Men don't cry, suck it up. You got to fucking always just, all that shit. And then you have that mindset. And whenever at times, you know, you're supposed to cry and have normal, natural emotions, you're just a complete and utter shit show for good reason. And so even though, like, the last 5-6 years, like, I've been preparing different, you know, thinking about this and dealing with it. And now it's just like the finality of it's coming, you know? And so if I act all surprised, then who is that on? And I'm just speaking from my own experience. Pain is inevitable. Drama is optional. Taking inevitable life happenings to extreme levels is unnecessary. You don't need to make the wound bigger to prove it's real. So it's like, today I literally gave myself permission to cry. Like, I was like, just let that shit out, bro. Why are you going to hold that shit in? Because that shit, it's supposed to. And I could feel different organs. Like, I'm real in tune with my body now. Like, while I was just fucking crying, I could feel releases in different organs in my body as I was letting that shit out. And there is reasons that's supposed to come out. There's a reason you're supposed to fucking weep. You're not supposed to bottle that shit up and just fucking stuff it down. That shit has to be released, man, because it just gets trapped in there, and you just become more nervous and more anxiety ridden and more depressed and all that. It shit has to come out. Extremity is the performance for an audience that isn't watching. You can't just like play that shit up, man. There's no reason to like, for me, I'm just going to speak for me. You know, I'm not entertaining posting memories and rehashing the shit and reliving the shit over and over. That's not for me. That's somebody else's narrative. That's somebody that wants to stay trapped, maybe knowingly or unknowingly, in that loop of just, I'm not doing that because this shit's inevitable and it's not meant to be treated like that. We're supposed to learn what we're supposed to learn, gain from the essence that we gain, and then apply what we need to apply, and then dismiss what needs to be dismissed. And we hold on to the good shit and we move on. We don't try to hold all this shit and drag it into the fucking future when it's all the way the fuck back here and they're dead and gone. Like I said, their essence is with you in all sorts of different forms and consciousness. Even in the people that you don't even know and you come across, oh, you know so-and-so, oh yeah, like it's in them too. Consciousness is it's so magical. So it's not the way it's framed up, like the person's just gone. All you got to do is think about him. All you got to do is see a picture. I could go on and on and on when you really think about it. When you create your own narratives around trauma and what it means, you take the power back. The story you tell yourself about the pain decides whether it owns you or you own it. Authorship is the difference between a wound and a weapon. You can't change what happened. You can change what it means. And that's what I do. I just change what this shit means to me and my experience, and I just let everybody else do that. When somebody passes away, when all that, everybody's going to deal with it different. Some people are going to go off the rocker. Some people are not going to talk. Some people, you just let people have their experience. But whenever you're the one writing it, it doesn't have to be based off of everybody else's experience. Love the people you love while you have them to love. Time doesn't wait for you to get comfortable saying it. The regret isn't losing them. It's all the silence before you lost them. All the regret or all the what ifs, what I should have. You know, I shared the news with some of my family today and they were like, I wish I would have known. I mean, I could have said some horrible shit after that reply, but it's like everybody deals with the shit they want to. They can act like the shit doesn't exist. They can act like they don't know what's really happening and stuff that shit down. And whenever the reality of it hits a lot harder than the person that took control of the whole narrative in their own life. Stop calling self-accountability God. You don't need permission from the divine to take responsibility for yourself. Accountability is in a higher power. It's the lowest, hardest human form. When you have to hold yourself accountable, nobody else is coming to do it for you. Sometimes people will get involved and do it for you. But if you're in control of it, it goes a lot smoother. Outsourcing ownership to spirituality is just another inherited narrative. The thread underneath all of this, every excuse here, the inherited trauma, the personalization, the denial of death, the extremity, the spiritual outsourcing is the same move. It's handing over your power to something outside of you so you don't have to hold it yourself. Pain repeats until you stop borrowing it. It's meaning from someone else's wound. And you're just creating it and experiencing your shit the way that you're meant to. The moment you write your own story, you reclaim what was never truly lost. Because it's your story, man. Nobody gets to come in and write that shit for you unless you allow it. And that's my time. I know I skipped one or two because I had them running out of time. And then the next one I'm doing is called The Imprint That Outlives You. Because it's like the essence that we all leave behind. There's an imprint. Every person we come into contact to, like it or not, is walking away with pieces of us. Good, bad, or ugly. You can even measure the shit. when you walk into the room, it changes. It shifts. The energy shifts. There's different energy to the room now. You can measure that shit. And so it's energy. It's like there's essences left behind in various ways. And then the next one is going to be, the last one is going to be about fucking crying. You know, tears are meant to be expressed so they don't drown you from the inside out. Because if you try to hold that shit in, it's going to drown your ass, bro. That's why it's meant to come out. But that's going to be fucking heavy. I already know. I'm going to be up in this motherfucker crying. Because I'm going to be thinking about all the shit this dude has done for my life and my family. And it's just real shit, man. That's all it is. People want to get on here and show you all the fucking good in life. Nobody wants to get on here and fucking tap into this shit called reality. And present the good, the bad, the fucking ugly. You know what I'm saying? But it's going to be what it's going to be. It's going to change my life and it's going to change the life of others. So that's my time, guys. I appreciate you guys hanging out with me. Until next time, I appreciate you. Have a good night. I'll be back at 11:30 if we don't go to early break.